Hey there, YouTubers. All right, so in this video, we are going to look at the BIOS for the Gigabyte UD A520i AC motherboard. Okay, so quick overview. I'm really an Intel guy, so there's stuff in here that unfortunately I'm not really sure what it is compared to Intel. You would think all this stuff would be basically the same, and the whole visual aspect that you're looking at is very similar, but sometimes you get into some of these things and there are some places where I'm just like, what? So, this is my first time in here as well. When you first boot up your computer, assuming you've got, a computer that's going to boot to BIOS, you will start hitting the delete key. That will bring you into the BIOS. First thing you're going to see is easy mode. So let's look at what's in easy mode. Information about your motherboard. Here's the type, the BIOS version, AMD chip. This is my chip, my CPU, AMD Ryzen 9 3900X, and the amount of RAM in here, okay? Now, speaking of BIOS, I will be doing a BIOS update video, and we will use the QFlash external. So you put in a USB with the BIOS update and hit the little BIOS update button. And I'm kind of excited about that one because it's the first time I've actually done that with a little button. And I always do the same way pretty much, or I'll do it inside of Windows. So this will be a different one for me. Now, here's the RAM. I only put one in here just to verify we could boot to BIOS. This is one of two places where you can turn on XMP. Since I only have the one stick in here, I'm going to leave it. But you can click on that, XMP profile 1, profile 2, back to disabled. Now, once again, since I wanted to boot to BIOS, I've just had this motherboard for an hour now. We set it up, boom, and I did not put a drive in it because I wanted to get to this point, right? So it's a lot easier to boot to BIOS if you don't have a drive in originally, and that can cause some issues if you're using a drive that already has the operating system on it, like I always do. So, but this is where you would see your HDD SSDs and be able to change the order so that the operating system would come first, or if you needed to boot to a USB, you'd be able to drop and drag that around, okay? Over here, this is where it shows your different types of drives. If you have a SATA one, PCI Express, in this case, that is our graphics card. If we have an M.2, we could put that there. Now, you obviously can use a PCI Express slot if you have a bigger motherboard, right? This only has one, but you can use that slot and put an NVMe into it. In this case, though, no such luck. And this is our only expansion slot. So fan speed, CPU fan speed, you see how that thing's cranking. I have this on performance if I remember correctly. Trying to keep this monster CPU cool with their Wraith cooler. Somewhere I have an awesome Noctua that I wish I would have tried to put on here, but it's just ridiculous on on a motherboard this size. All right, up here we see this information, general information. Now let's go to advanced mode. So like I said, this is a quick overview. Favorites, you can add favorites by, like it says here, hit the insert key to delete the ones that are in here. If you're over here and wanted to add something, you would hit the insert key and it will add that little asterisk, okay? So you see here, CPU clock speed. I'm not going to name off all these. Let me just run through these real quick. The other spot for XMP, Vcore, and if you're overclocking, this is one of the two things you really need to work with, right? Clock ratios and the Vcore, and all this good stuff here, right? So let's go to this menu. Here's what's under this menu, and yeah, in this case, escape doesn't go back. Under advanced memory settings. So I just want to make sure you guys get a look at what's under each thing. Memory subtimes. So obviously you go in and plug in your timings. All right, down here, CPU VRM. And you see what this gives you. Moving over to settings. Here's what's under this guy. Under I/O ports, miscellaneous. See, now I've been wondering on here, which is different than the Intel ones, and I'm a big Intel guy. Usually in this is where you can shut off your USBs so nobody can mess with them. So you have those settings there, which I couldn't even tell you what they are, so we're not going to open them up. Vcore. So obviously this is going to go up, you know, a little bit if you're overclocking. Smart Fan 5. This should show you, it shows you a lot of the same information we just saw. All right, system info. More of the general stuff that you saw at the beginning. Here is a another place that you could update the BIOS. All right. And then as well as right here, you see QFlash. You can do it in two places through the BIOS. Boot. Here's what you see under this menu. You want to add a administrator password, you can do that in here. And then save and exit. So that's all, folks, for this quick overview. If you leave me a question, I'll try and answer it. If you don't hear back from me, either I didn't see it or I had no clue what the answer was. You know, if you give me a compliment, then I will probably give you a heart and a like, right? So let's leave some nice comments. Yeah. Hey, thanks for checking out the video. Please like, please subscribe. Thank you.